Good day. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. Glad to have you. It's September the 15th, and I had an idea, so I thought I'd go and do it. We could have frost anytime at all. Now, we had some cool nights. According to the 14-day forecast, we're not going to have any frost this month. But things are winding down, and this video is going to be a little bit choppy. It's not actually a garden tour. It's about things I've learned and a couple of final things in for 2024. So I mentioned these rose hips. I went around and I checked out the other bushes that are around, including the wild ones, and there's not very many rose hips around, so I didn't bother. But I got two big ones on here, and the bigger one's better to show you. See, if you cut that top off, you get this inside. If I cut it in half, you see there's the seeds. Now, you could eat the seeds and all. Some people say the seeds take away from the taste of the fruit. So it's up to you. Really, it's the outside portion. Trying to think of what the texture would be. I guess what they would consider that a mealy texture. But it's a taste reminiscent of an apple. You can eat them raw. You can put them in bottles like I do with the cherries, just in a light syrup. So if you had a whole bunch this big now, it would be nice because you can cut them open and cut them in half, take the seeds out, and then fill up a bottle, put your syrup in, water bath can it, and then you'd have a snack just like you would with the cherries, right? Open them up and eat a bunch of rose hips. You can make jams and jellies out of them, etc. I'm going to take your hand out now. Brandywine tomatoes. So these especially, I'm going to have to decide on how I'm going to cage them up. The tomatoes are huge. I got a cat facing one, 2 tomatoes together, and it was a full kilogram. Now this here, they're not joined together. That's 2 tomatoes down there. But because of the weight of the tomatoes, they're hanging. They will lay right down on the ground. And anything that's close, see, I got to get my shadow out of it. It's out in the grass. So that's not good because, of course, the bugs are running around grass, and as soon as that starts ripening up, the bugs are going to be eating it. So I have to watch it, and when it gets a little bit of blushing, take it off. The rest of these, I think I spaced them out more than I did last year, but like everything in the garden this year, they aren't growing as well. And it is due to watering. Guess I should mention the snowball bush again because it's back better than last year. So hey, next year we might get some good blooms on that thing. I was struggling to get things going in the spring as well, as you know. But this is the eggplant, and we did get as far as that flower will probably open before it gets hit with frost. So try again next year. That is not done growing yet. You can tell by, see this, the bumps where the little prickles, the bumps where the little prickles are, is really open, and it's still constricted, but it's not turning color. So I'm leaving that there. That can still swell up like it is up top, and if it grows perfect, these little prickles start to fall off. But right now they're on there pretty tight. Aunt Molly's ground cherry was a success this year, so they don't mind the less water. Maybe they're a Mediterranean thing as well. And I mean, look at the bunch there, eh? So we've got a couple of weeks before frost. I might get a lot more. I've been having a garden candy every now and then. So this is Valiant grape. And the grapes, there's a little bit tight, but some of them are softer. They're pretty much fully mature now, and they are sweet once they get, like, they're sweeter. Their taste is okay once they really get fully ripe. Now, this is still earlier than I harvested the grapes up by the back door last year, but they're pretty much all ripe, so I'm going to have to come out and harvest these now. The Romeo cherry lost its leaves early. Now, is it because of watering or something else? I don't know. I didn't see any fungus on them, or any amount of bugs, so it is what it is. That's just a record for 2024 that the Romeo cherry did lose its leaves early for reasons unknown to me. The smoke bush put out a lot of blossoms this year. They was not overly showy, so it didn't look smoky, but because of the change in the weather over the past 4 years, it does seem to be getting more into its element here. I think this was calendula I put here. Of course, I don't know what calendula looks like, but now, did I have it labeled? I had to check and find out. But anyway, it's did quite well over the summer, and all of them. I have to make sure. Now, I should have cut back that St. John's wort so it didn't cover them, but they were on the north side anyway, so they were really getting shade all summer. And the strawberry plants that I have deliberately planted here, they're really healthy. They didn't put out any runners worth talking about, but the initial plant themselves is really healthy. So this is Marketmore cucumber. It's starting to fade now, and that's no surprise. I mean, it was there all summer, and sometimes the plants, they don't go to frost. They'll just, once the weather starts to cool down, they'll fade like this one has done. So no surprise. I did get some cucumbers off that one, and the next one, I think there's one in there I didn't get any cucumbers off, but the little runt, there's a cucumber still growing on that. As for Long Island cheese, guess I'm not going to get anything off that. Now, I was looking at my records yesterday, and it was actually a little bit of ahead of now when I recorded that there was buds on the Jerusalem artichoke. It looks like there's a bud starting on that one there now. So, Yeah, it was really late when the Jerusalem artichoke flowered last year. This tree had flowered again, more flowers on it this year than it was last year. Last year it just had half a dozen flowers, but it had a significant amount of flowers on it, but still no fruit. Now, I'm kind of getting concerned because it's getting worse every year, it seems. That the fungus on this bush. Now, can I cut it back, or should I prune out several canes and make it more open? What would bring this currant bush up to a more healthy state? This up here, that was because of those web caterpillars, and they have been getting worse every year, as I said several times. So next year, when they come, the stuff that I can reach down here, I think I'm going to wipe them all off and not allow them to make their webs on it. That's the red mulberry. Its leaves are even lighter now, but they never did get dark green all summer. We've got some browning on the leaves there, as if the leaf is just dying and not actually going to turn. Well, they don't have much to turn from now, do they? Watching a video about spice bush earlier this morning, and he said that they have male flowers, male plants and female plants. So that's a bummer too, because when you grow from seed, you gotta wait for them to flower before you know what it is. But that one's doing well. Like, I took a leaf and crushed it, and it's got like a lemon pepper smell to it. I don't know if I mentioned this one all summer. That's a birchleaf pear. Well, it's there. It doesn't look unhealthy, but it's not growing worth anything either. So Andrea, this is the plant that I was talking about. I forgot to show that to you. Now, you see this top? So when that started, it was like a little, not red, but a purplish red type color. I can't bring to mind now what the color I'm thinking about. Anyway, it looked like a flower bud, but as I see now, it was just the growing tip starting to put out another little bit of a shoot there. And so we've got, that's where the leaf starts in there, and this is leaflets, right? 1, 2, 3, so 6 plus the tip, 7 leaflets, and right now it's big huge leaflets. I don't know what it'll be like later. And I've got, it's coming out from down right there. Seed got down there somehow, and there's 2 shoots coming out there. I've got 1 and 2. This is the red currant, and it is showing some fungal infection, and I can't remember if it showed that last year or not. You see the black currants, almost nothing on them. There's a little bit of on those leaves right there, but pretty much no infections and very little caterpillar damage too. That browning leaf right there, that's just because it's that time of year and it's just starting to lose its chlorophyll. Same thing with this one. And these now, they're starting to turn red. They do that even though they fruit later. They turn red, their fall colors earlier. That's the gooseberry. So I was shown that seaberry sucker. In other words, they send up new plants from their roots, from their feeder roots, And the feeder roots go out, of course, along the ground, not very far under the soil. And you could have shrubs popping up like 3 feet out from your one that you planted. And so I've got to be careful and see if I can see them popping up. I mean, we do have a weed, so that's the other thing too, right? There's this plant here that the leaves kind of look like the leaves on the seaberry, but I have to be able to tell the difference when the seaberry buddies come up. Now, I have here what looks to be an apple tree. So I wonder where I'm going to move that. We got our 2 male seaberry plants and 1 female seaberry plant put in the ground this year, so that's good. And it's only this one really that I have to be worried about. I gotta make sure next year I take care of this area. As far as the plum tree goes, you remember last fall I cut this right down, and it was just basically a few sticks as a stump of a thing. So all of this growth that come back this year, and hey, next year we'll have plums on that, I would assume. But also this one here shot up this year. And so far as I know, that's a plum tree too. And being that it is actually as old as the other one, really, we might get 2 or 3 plums off that, who knows. Well, I didn't get much in the way of squash at all. The one that was back there, it stopped growing, and one side of it started to go bad. So I brought it in, and I cut it up into chunks, put on my favorite spices. It was delicious. Don't know if I said that in the last video or not. This one in here, however, now let me see if I can get my hand down there so you can kind of see. See, it's a big pumpkin now. Fully mature. It's starting to turn color. Oh. It is starting to harden up a little bit too. It was a little softer the last time I tried that, but it's still a ways from being fully cured yet. National Pickling Cucumbers is one of the successes this year. I made 3 batches, and the small crisper jar in the fridge now is right full. I have to make another batch. I think it's more than enough to make a batch. And there are some on these plants already, so I don't know, I might end up making 2 more batches. As I mentioned in the last video, I've got 3 different plants. Now, that one over there, it produced a pumpkin, what the jar that pumpkin is supposed to look like. And this one, I don't know what. So I can't save seed from this one, but that's okay. I've got the one. Cole crops, they done. I am quite happy. Like, I mean, people do way better than me with them, but I am quite happy with what I got this year, especially the broccoli. I am super happy about that. And I'm going to get a couple cabbage heads and that kind of thing. Now, whether it's because of heat or whatever, but so we've got a little squash growing down here. I'm going to have an immature squash And I just noticed that doesn't look like it's been pollinated. I think that's going to fall off. Don't really know what that is, but you can see that one in there is Brussels sprouts. I remember one year, many years ago now, I actually harvested Brussels sprouts right before Christmas. And there's something down here I haven't been showing you. Let me... You see? I've got a purple kohlrabi and a green kohlrabi growing there. So that's nice. I do, by the way, have one more Siberian pea shrub that I got to bring out and put in there. Second thing another thing that's a success this year, the beans grew exactly as we expected them to. Now that the weather has cooled down, this kale is starting to grow a lot more and looking a lot better. Yeah, so we moved the kiwi plants over here, and hoping that they grow there. We'll find out what conditions they need to grow. And the blueberry plants, 2 blueberry plants were moved there this year. The rhubarb in the shade fared better than the rhubarb in the sun, but it did not like this year at all. It was early October last year when I harvested the potatoes. That's Kennebec back there, so you wouldn't expect them to be dying yet anyway. And they'll probably be like that up until we get frost. Out here, well, I think you've seen the amount of potatoes that I got out of this. A very pitiful amount. Don't think I'm going to get much from the Superior, and maybe I'm going to have to save what I get out of the rest of this bed for seed for next year. The plants don't look that great. I'm taking up potatoes when I need them now until early next month, but no, it's not coming that well. After a second attempt, we've got a lot of rutabaga seed to germinate, and there are some carrot seed germinating in among that as well. That was early August, and I don't know what's going to grow of it. I can take that, of course, and use greens, but as far as root crops go, I don't have any hopes of getting anything of that. I do actually have some bigger tops of carrots over here, so I might get a carrot or two out of where the strawberries are. I weeded this bed out, and any time I pull up a weed that had here a bit of a root system at all, I'd pull up a worm. And that's the way it is over all the garden, so it's not a fertility thing. Those potatoes, I took up a couple of potatoes, and I had like a pound on each plant, 4 big potatoes. And then yesterday I was out and I took up some from down there, and it took me 3 plants to get a pound, yeah, about a pound, 3 pounds. So once again, Jacob's cattle beans did well. The beets did well. I'm not unhappy about those. And black turtle beans. So I was visiting another garden, and they had grown so beautifully, and I was all embarrassed about my garden then, but then she told me that she watered her garden twice a day, every day. Now, I don't have the setup. See, I've got a well, and I can pump that well out in about an hour and a half. Now, it'll never run dry because it's a spring, and the bog out back has got to run dry before that well runs dry. But only an hour, so I've got the sprinkler here right now, and I would run it an hour there at night, and then early in the morning before the sun got, just as the sun was rising, I'd run it another hour, and then I would move it over there, and I'd do the same thing. And then on the third day, I would go down around the other plots where the sprinkler didn't reach. So basically the garden was getting watered twice every 3 days. And one of that was early in the morning, and I don't know how much that helped. So the suggestion, I can say midday, if I get some of those garbage cans from Canadian Tire, they're like $15 a piece or something. Midday, when the well fills up, I can fill up barrels, and then by the evening it'll be filled up again, and I can do the sprinkling here, but I would have barrel water to do down around the house, and I can do that pretty much every day. And it really depends on how much water I can draw out during the day and how many barrels I got, of course. Will I have enough extra water to really give the garden a better watering? Because if I had more than I needed down by the house, I could put some over in the shady plot, right? Over in the plot that I don't have the sprinkler on. I didn't get very many, but I'm considering it a success. The cucamelon. There's a lot of flowers came out on these plants. Now I did get a few full grown, so it's worth me trying again. And next year, maybe I'll get a whole bunch. If I get a whole bunch, I can make those little dill pickles with whole cucumber type things, and that would be, I think, quite neat. But as they are, just getting a few, you just take them and pop them in your mouth and eat them up. Another garden candy, right? The grapes by the back door, they seem to show no sign of ripening up yet. Not that I'm worried about it, because if they don't ripen up, then I'm going to make verjuice, which is a substitute for lemon juice. We had 25 days this year that went over 30 degrees Celsius. For reference, in 1972, there was one day over 30 degrees Celsius. In 2018, 2013 there was 3 days. 2014 there was 2 days. I don't remember. 2015, I think it was 3 days 2015, 1 day in 2016. 2018 is my records. We got 3 days. 2019 it was 12 days. 2020 it was 25 days, and it stayed above 20 something days. This year we had 25 days, so that's above 30 degrees Celsius, and we are running above 30 days that were between 25 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius. So 25, that's Newfie boiling point. And that has had me quite depressed. And the reason why, well, Not the whole reason now. But part of the reason why this hasn't gotten done, because I ain't out working in that heat. I said last year I was going to go nocturnal. And, well, I'm not going to be working in the dark. But I just got to get up and be ready to go out at sunrise, no matter what time the sun comes up. Supposing that's 4 o'clock in the morning. And this hasn't been dealt with yet. I did, however, get quite a few raspberries off that this year. I am pleased with how much raspberries I got. The apple tree, like I told you, was the outside, this one on this side didn't produce very much. The one on the inside did. After picking up 4 or 5, just yesterday I picked up a big rounded up 5-gallon bucket full of apples there. So 4 or 5 5-gallon bucketfuls of apples there. So we're going underneath now. Watch out for the stinging nettles, Jonathan. I heard some apples fall out here when I was out there earlier. So I know there's apples there. But I had to be very careful because I don't have my boots on. See, for me picking them up, once they fall, they're bruised, right? But pick them up, bring them in and process them somehow right away, then fine enough. But if you leave them there in the bucket for 2 or 3 days in the house, they can rot so fast once they're bruised like that. Now these apples, they don't have all that much problem with the fungus. I mean, some of them have fungus on them, but not a whole lot. The ones that are deformed, and it might be because of the apple. See, this one, it was gone bad at first, but it's not a smooth globe. It's all like there's dents in it. Now, if I cut this open, actually, let's see. Get out that knife again. Oh, that one wasn't too bad. But some of them, when I cut them open, you can see tunnels all through it. And there's a little white grub in there. It looks like a fly larvae. And I did video it. So that's the tree by the in-house that can be susceptible to that fly larvae thing. Now, as you know, this is the Haida red tree, and they ripen up first, which is kind of odd in itself, because this actually they used to call these winter apples because they're really late ripening. And maybe they weren't quite ripe, they were just badly infected. These apples get so infected with the fungus, but there was a year where I got a whole bunch of really good apples off of them. So once again, maybe it's the weather. There's 2 big apples up there. I'm going to see if I can zoom in on them and show you. Yeah, there they are. Got some fungus spots on them, but there's 2 nice big apples. I think I want to get them just to see what they're like inside. And then we come over to the apple tree on the cliff, and it was the last of the trees to start dropping apples. Now I did pick up the fallen apples there yesterday. There's still a bunch in the tree over there, actually all over, but they have the reddish blush, and a great portion is green or light yellow when they're ripe. Well, you see, so they're hard to see when you're looking out, just standing back looking at the tree. At any rate, very few misshapen apples on that tree. I did get a couple that weren't grown to full size, but boy, those were delicious. They were the best ones. And usually though, most of them are like that one I just showed you. Nice big apple and perfectly formed. No fungus, no worms. So I did think, actually, remember the apple seedling that I showed you? I tried to grow a mulberry over there one year and it didn't take. But I think I'm going to take up that little apple seedling and put it right there. So we're like, that's 20 feet over from the apple tree that we were just looking at. Here's another of the successful things this year, and I've got a lot of Alma paprika peppers, and they started to ripen up. Now this one split, and that's due to the variation in moisture levels. There's a ton of flowers coming on, but I'm not going to get that. The Shiitake ghost peppers are starting to ripen up, you see that? So I have 2 of these in the house already. And there's 4 or 5 that are turning red now. Oh, a bunch over here. I've let a California Wonder, but see, he's got blossom end rot. So now I've take that in and cut that off. This top part is probably still good to eat. I'm going to take that off right now. I think I'm going to cut the video now. Thanks for watching. I just wanted to do a video of the things that we would learn, what we would have to change for next year. It's kind of a overall record of what was weird this year and what did well. So, as I said, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the next video.